Okay, I'm going to work a problem in the book. Mostly it's about pivot tables, but I'm also going to add in a scatter plot. And so what I want to do is plot the number of tax returns versus the adjusted gross income in thousands to see if there's any relationship here. And so basically I'm just going to select those two rows and well, if it'll let me do that. I guess I'll just sort it all the way down. And we're using the file tax data in the book, and this is mostly problem number 7 out of the book, but like I said, I'm adding in one extra item, which is a scatter plot. So this is going to be my X column, this will be my Y column. That's always the way it is for scatter plots when you're doing it XY. So we'll go to scatter plot, XY scatter, and this is going to give me the X here on the horizontal axis, and the y-axis is going to be the vertical. And so I click OK, and that's going to be my adjusted gross income on the y-axis and the number of tax returns on the x. And so if I don't worry about labeling those for now, another thing they'll ask for is to add a trend line. And so to add a trend line, we right click on the graph after it's been made and add trend line. We want a linear one. That's how we're doing things right now. We're not setting any curvature to it. And it's best sometimes to display the equation and display R squared on the chart. And so if we do that, maybe we could put it over here. And I don't know, let's get rid of some of that, or maybe we can adjust the size of it. That'd be better even. Or we'll just move it if it'll move. See if it's behaving or not. It's not behaving, but that's okay. Anyway, so that's our equation of the line. That's our R squared, and so that's what we have for this one. That'll work even better. I can move it that way. It makes it look so we can see it. All right, so that's how you would do a scatter plot for XY. Now, on problem 7, though, they also asked for doing all these pivot table items. And so we're supposed to create a pivot table in Excel to answer the questions below. The pivot table should have state abbreviations as rows, and then the value in the pivot table should be the sum of the adjusted gross income. So what I'm going to do is go to a new sheet so I can separate my pivot tables, because I'm going to do a whole new one for each one. And this will be, the pivot table is going to include everything. Well, if it'll accept it down. Okay, I guess it's not going to. Some days it does, some days it doesn't. So moving on down. Again, with a lot of data, it usually is helpful if it will do the Control Shift down and Control Shift up if you're at the bottom. Alright, so that's the data we want. I'm just going to say add it to the data model just in case. Now we have our table. So we need the state abbreviations in the rows, it said, and it needed the adjusted gross income in the sum of the values. And so that's what it has. So now let's read the rest of the directions here. And so for part 1 it says, sort the pivot table data to display the states with the smallest sum of adjusted gross income on top and the largest on the bottom, and then which state had the smallest sum. Alright, so that's pretty easy. So we're just going to basically sort from smallest to largest, and so then that shows us North Dakota has the smallest, followed by Wyoming, and on down until we see the largest is California. Okay, so that's basically then what question 1 is asking for us. Okay. Now question 2 asks for adding in the county name and then filtering it so only Texas is displayed. And then we want to see which county in Texas has the smallest. So what I'm going to do is add a new sheet, and I'm going to create another pivot table. And we could use the same one, but if we want to show all the steps along the way, then we kind of have to show all the different pivot tables here. And so, and see, this time, did it work? Yeah, this time it works, so I don't know why. Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. Alright, so county names, total number, oh no, county names. I know what I did, must have missed. Must have not collected everything. All right. So we didn't get column A, that's what it was. So let's start back here. And we'll make a new pivot table. Bear with me, trying to get computers to work while you're making a video. It doesn't always work. Alright, so that worked. Alright, so again, state abbreviations, county names, that's going to be our rows. And then our adjusted income is going to be this. Alright, and now as said, we wanted to sort only Texas. So we're going to get rid of everything but Texas. So then we go find Texas. We say OK. And now we're going to sort here, smallest to largest. And it looks like Loving County has the smallest. And if they had happened to ask for the largest, then we could have scrolled down and we could see that Harris County was largest, or we could have resorted and saw that with it at the top instead of the bottom. Okay. All right, so now let's see. Next one. Now we're going to click on the sum of the adjusted gross income in the values area. Click the field settings and then start showing percent of the parental row total. And we want the highest percent adjusted gross in the state of Texas. So let's go ahead and just make a new one again. That way we just kind of get used to making a new pivot table for each of the sets of data. And I think it seemed to work best if we started at the bottom and went all the way to the top. And so we do that again. Again, we want state abbreviations, county name, and we want that adjusted gross total. And now we want to have only Texas again, I believe it said. And so now let's read the directions again, what they wanted. Alright, so we click on the sum of the adjusted gross income in the values area, click field value settings, and then percent of parental rows. So we go up here and double click on that, go to show values, percent of parent total row, okay. And so then we can see if we sort smallest to largest, smallest was Loving County, and if we go the opposite way, largest to smallest, the highest was Harris County at 17.83, and that's what they wanted, was the largest one, so that's the highest one. Then we're going to do the same kind of a thing, except we're going to look at the overall for the state of New York. What percentage of the adjusted gross income in the United States was provided by New York? So again, we're going to insert pivot table. Now we're going to try again. And I'm going to start at the bottom again because that seems to work the best for some reason. Control-Shift-Home. Alright, so state, county, adjusted gross, that works. Now we're going to do the show values again and percent of parent row. And now we just want to have New York. So we're actually going to have to sort down all the way because we need all of the states in here to get the percentages right, because you can see like Minnesota is 1.97, but if we sorted and only showed Minnesota, then it would be 100%. So we have to keep all of them in there. And so we're to Mississippi, Montana, North Carolina, North Dakota, New Jersey, New Hampshire, New Mexico, Nevada, New York. So overall, New York is 7.06% of the total of the U.S. And so that's what this final question here was asking for. And that's all of it. So hopefully that shows you how to do pivot tables in different manners, as well as a scatter plot and showing the trend line after that. So again, you just select the whole column, and then you want to make sure it's the data for the X is the first column, data for Y is the second column, and then you're going to get an output that looks something like that. All right, hopefully that helps.